feel that Pakistan is ideally positioned as an IT destination, and I mean from that point of view, I would say the information part of the whole thing has become a lot easier.
Hello everyone, welcome back to TED Talks. Today we have a very interesting episode with Taimur Bud.
So he is a Columbia and Georgetown graduate, and he's working in the real estate. So it's a bit like a very new sort of episode in which we talk technology with real estate. How does it, benefit the real estate sector, along with his new technological venture. So hope you guys enjoy this episode. Okay, so the first question we want to ask you is about your educational background. Like, where did you attend for your undergraduate, for your graduate, and like how your experiences there?
Yeah, sure. So, Nareb, look, I was in the US when I started. Well, actually, prior to the US, I went to school here in Karachi. I was at Karachi Grammar School, and I completed my A levels from there, and that was back in 1997. So, once I got done with my A levels, I went off to university. I was in the US, and I went to Georgetown University, which is in Washington D.C. And so yeah, I was enrolled in the business school there. And in the business school, basically I was a finance major, and I completed my degree in finance, and I had an economics minor as well.
Okay.
And prior to and post my undergraduate, I moved back to Pakistan for a little while, and then I went back to the US.
Yes.
And I was in New York. I attended Columbia University, and there I did a master's in real estate development. That was in 2006, 2007.
Okay. And like you mentioned that you did your master's in business development,
Real estate.
real estate in Columbia. Yeah. So like why
Oh,
real
so the
estate?
master's was in real estate development. It was not why real estate because look, real estate is my family business, and it's been my family business for quite some time now. Actually, my father was the one that bought into this field, and back in 1987, he registered his company here by the name of Mall Developers,
Okay.
and so he started off our real estate. You might be familiar with this project on Vermont Boulevard. It's called Mall Square. That was his first project. And from there, then he did several other projects, which were either totally real estate or real estate based. So essentially, to answer your question, the reason that I did this degree in real estate development was
It
that
answers that.
drawn. I was very drawn towards this field. It was, because of the fact that it was my business background, but I was also personally very drawn towards it. I There's something about it I just enjoyed. I like the real estate. I just enjoyed the real estate development.
So was it like this, like, if a person asks you a question in your childhood, bade hoke kya banna hai? So it was your answer real estate from the beginning.
No, it was not. It was not. I did not have this sort of affinity towards real estate right from the start. Uh, um, as So, as I mentioned, when I did my undergraduate, I was like most people, growing up out of school, unsure about what exactly it is that I would like to
Yeah,
focus on.
exploring and all.
But yeah, so I did do a course in real estate as well. It was part of my business school undergraduate education, just to get a sense of what it was like. But even at that point, I hadn't sort of made up my mind, what I wanted to do or which direction I wanted to go in. Because when I graduated after my undergraduate, actually, I joined a job in investment banking. This was on Wall Street. So even till after my undergrad, I wasn't clear whether I wanted to do real estate or not. It was always in the background. It was always something there that I had at the back of my mind because of the family background.
Hmm.
But no, to answer your question, it wasn't like, ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to do real estate. No, certainly wasn't like that.
Okay, that makes sense.
So
Yeah.
being in the business for this long, what do you think, like, how do you describe the effect of the new digitalization in real estate, specifically like stuff like Zameen.com and like other companies which have come forward with this platform of, oh, we're not going to do it the traditional, agent kind of a way, and let's try this something different. So
Look,
what's your take on that?
look, my take on this whole thing, you're right. I mean, obviously, the internet, uh, look, you mentioned mean.com, for example, right? So the internet has obviously had a huge impact on the way business is done now, and there's no doubt about it. But if you sort of want to break it down, essentially, at the very core, it's still offering the same thing that traditional real estate was. It's just that, Zameen.com is essentially like a yellow pages for real estate, right? That's what it is. So all you're really doing is like how you have yellow pages and you want a phone number and you go looking for somebody's phone number and you find it there and then you get hold of it. This is all they're doing is that instead of having maybe let's say 25, 30 real estate agents sitting there in their office which is accessible to everybody. This is like having 100 real estate agents sitting on the internet on a website with listing their properties. So, which does make it much more convenient, and I think it has speeded up the real estate marketplace simply because access to what is available out there is just more access now. So, for example, if you are looking for, let's say, a particular type of real estate, let's say you're looking for a penthouse, and you want that penthouse in a particular area in the fence, you want it in Clifton, or you want it in Nazmabad, or wherever it is, uh, instead of having to, physically drive there and go and start looking and then finding out what the market is, and then actually going and, looking at each and every single sort of place physically, just to get an idea of what the prices in that area are like, and, having to go and meet local brokers who are sitting there with their shops in that particular place. You don't have to do that just to get a basic sense of the market. You just go to Zameen.com and you'll type in, penthouse in Islamabad, or you type in penthouse in Clifton or DH, and you can type in the price range, you can type in, the size that you're looking for. They give you all those options, and you get a pretty good idea what the price is going to be like, without even having to venture out and leave the comfort of your room or your house. And so, yeah, I mean, from that point of view, I would say the information part of the whole thing has become a lot easier and much more simplified, with companies like me.com. Yeah, there's more to it. I mean, I think I mentioned to you earlier that while we were chatting before this talk, that blockchain is coming into the fray as well now. So, blockchain technology, like effectively, it's like, you buying into, there's certain companies that are doing this, some companies, and effectively you buy into pieces of real estate by through a blockchain platform, essentially. So, for example, if let's say there's a developer that and they want people to invest in the development that they're doing, let's say in Islamabad, and I'm sitting here in Karachi or I'm sitting in Lahore, or if I'm sitting in the UK or if I'm sitting, let's say in America, for example, right? I would like to buy a piece of that real estate, but I can't afford to buy the whole thing. So effectively, what they're doing is they're using blockchain technology to give you the option of buying into a piece of that real estate, right? Kind of like Bitcoin, essentially. So you are buying, a small piece of that real estate digitally or virtually, and you become an owner of that, and then you have the ownership rights of that piece of real estate. So companies are doing this. Not all companies are doing this in Pakistan yet. This is a growing trend, and it's just started off. And I think I can think of one company that's doing it in Islamabad. That more and more companies are doing this right now. So yeah, I mean, innovation is definitely taking place in this field as well.
In this aspect.
So also, since you mentioned blockchain, how much do you think this will actually come into Pakistan? Because I feel like over here there'll always be like a trust issue. So it's like you see stuff like Nesla Tower, for example, right? And then
Yeah,
others that
that's
came
exactly
down,
why
stuff like that.
what you're saying, right? So I mean, the trust issue is the problem, and that is why it's not going to catch on that quickly. It's going to take some time, and you'll eventually probably relevant authorities like the SECP and what have you, and maybe the FBR and so on and so forth. because once they do that, then people will become a lot more sort of trusting of it. And once it has that seal of approval, and they become part of the net, you know, I think it's going to take some time. I don't think it's going to happen that quickly. I think people take time to get used to these changes. And
I was just saying that it's not just blockchain, even generally, because traditionally the way this worked was that people would like do committees within their families, and then someone would buy real estate, and then now there are also companies like around which are trying to
Yeah.
digitalize that as well. So I think
Yeah.
it's very interesting, and I think social dynamics play a lot into this. Because like Pakistan traditionally has been a very like family business kind of a place. Like if you're investing, you'll invest in your family. So I feel like that it'll be interesting to see in the next over like 10 to 20 years how technology changes this.
right. So it's not just, look, technology has changed more things in real estate than just the buy sell mechanism. Okay, so I'll give you an example. For example, so if you notice nowadays you'll find, like, okay, so whenever let's say a real estate project is launched, right? I mean, these days you'll find that a lot of these projects, they have very, very detailed sales renderings, for example, right? So the art. I mean, it was never, with the evolution of the tech industry, and I would say specifically the digital marketing industry, and the advancements that have been made in things like, uh, architectural renderings and drawings and architectural films as they relate to real estate. There's been a huge advance in this field, right? So now you will find a lot of companies, they are producing very high tech sort of marketing material, which is showing their future project in a way which was never done before, right? And there's been a lot of
Yeah.
advancement in this field. So, for example, you'll find entire animations of projects which are virtual animations, and the way they visualize it on screen, the 3D animators, it's quite detailed, and you get a fairly good idea what the project is going to be like. And this has helped in obviously the sales part of it, because it helps buyers to understand what the project is going to be and what the development will be like. And it's helped everybody actually. It's also helped the developer, because the developer can now plan a lot better when he's planning a
Easily.
project, because he gets to visualize it, right? So from both angles, actually, technology is playing a big part in changing the way real estate is being built also now.
But I think as a business, how do you decide when it's time to start changing or when it's essential to change?
So from what point of view? Like, for example, I mean, if you're talking about getting into blockchain, that's not something I'm looking at right now. I'm not,
Hmm.
because I mean, honestly, as a developer, it doesn't really make much sense to me, and simply because I would rather be dealing with buyers and people that are, buying directly, and it's a face-to-face transaction, and the comfort level for something like that face-to-face is just much more than having a blockchain platform, for me personally, and I think that's the case with the majority of developers there as well, even now. Do I see it changing? Possibly. Is it something which could become a major trend? It certainly could. I don't see any reason why it could not. But then again, it's something that remains to be seen if people start to actually use it on the large scale. I'm not too sure whether it will or will not catch on 100%, but I would say it can. There's definitely huge potential there.
And the face-to-face thing that you mentioned, like that is very true, even in like, other fields. Like for example, us students, face-to-face learning and then online learning, and then again this business conducting face-to-face. I mean, like I feel like that's a bit, downplay of technology in that sense. Face-to-face milta nahi, and even if it's online, sometimes that rushes to issue things gets developed. So that's why, in a sense, traditional real estate might be, hard to break from.
Right. I mean, this look, that's true. And more on the topic of technology and real estate. Look, I mean, the way things have changed. I mean, if you're sitting in Pakistan right now, and you are looking at investing abroad. Let's say you're looking at investing in Dubai, for example.
Yeah.
Right now, you can you all you need is just a couple of clicks, and you literally have have everything available to you, from the brochures of the development to the actual physical site. You can go to Google Maps and you can actually zoom in and you can
Yeah,
see,
you can see
like,
every small detail.
where that place is. You can actually go and see it now. Like
Hmm.
physically sitting here, you can go and see real estate which is in Dubai, or across the country. You can actually zoom into that place and see what that street looks like. You immediately
Mhm.
get a sense of what you're doing. So, it's a huge impact, I would say, on real estate now. I mean, the way technology has changed the entire landscape of the business.
So like a lot of people, they have this sort of misconception that, oh, when AI comes, it will replace jobs. Like, some people think that, oh, ab hame khatra hai, there won't be any jobs left in the market when AI comes. Is real estate that sort of business which can be like totally replaced by AI? So what's your opinion on that?
There's no chance of that happening. I mean, as long as there's really no chance of AI replacing people in real estate. I don't see that happening.
It's
Look,
a
I mean, for starters,
stuff.
yeah, look, for
Yeah,
starters, I mean, it's a very, very personalized business, okay? Like,
exactly.
in the sense that, the personal interaction, I mean, you're not going to, you, you're never going to be comfortable with what a computer tells you to do. If you want to go buy a piece of property, you're going to listen to the guy who you know, or
Exactly.
you're going to listen to his, like, you listen to his advice. You're not going to listen to the computer. I mean, do you really honestly, like,
A computer will
Google
do.
it and then, like, I mean, why do people still go to doctors for God's sake? I mean, if you think about it, I mean, even if you're sick and you're trying to figure out what's wrong with you,
A
Google's
computer
telling you
can't tell
five
you
different
that.
things.
Yeah,
That's I mean, do you really, like, at the end of the day, do you listen to Google or do you listen to your doctor? You
that,
still go listen to your doctor, right? So
that's
it's kind of the same. You're still going to listen to the same broker who made a fool out of you five times before, but you still
true.
go to him. You'll ask him the sixth time also, hey, what should I do? He'll
Yeah,
tell you something and you still end up doing it. So it's effectively it's the same thing.
yeah.
Yeah, so people are not going anywhere. I don't think AI is going to
Replace real estate.
significantly replace anything at least in the real estate industry. Will it have an effect? Yes, just like it will in any other field. I think it will have an effect. I don't think it's going to
But
replace
not totally
people
replace.
as such.
That's very true. That's true. Now, to end it off, can you tell us about your new technology venture?
Sure. So it's basically, look, the idea is very simple. So just to give you a broader, in a broader context, um, I just feel that Pakistan is ideally positioned as an IT destination, and the reason for that is that if you look at it in a global context, I feel that uh, let let's talk about the financials first because that's the most important thing, really. I mean, the fact of the matter is that Pakistan's currency is at an all-time low. Okay, we all know that the rupee is just losing value every single day, right? And where does that leave us? So that leaves us with kind of like a sense that, okay, so where are we going to generate our income from? Our income should be generated in uh, other currency. Let's try to generate it in dollars, or let's try to generate in euros, or let's try to generate in some other, maybe Middle Eastern dinar or whatever it is, right?
Hmm.
Simply because the currency is not. So what that does is it effectively, the way our currency is gone, it's created a big opportunity for entrepreneurs to enter this field, I feel, because of the fact that whatever work we are providing here in Pakistan, if you price it globally, it turns out to be very cheap, right?
Hmm.
Now, throw in the fact that Pakistan has a good number of IT institutes that are operating in this field, right? From NAS, FAST to ComSats and so on and so forth. There's a lot of universities that are offering IT now, right?
Yeah.
And I feel that it's taken off in the sense that there's a lot of students, a lot of young students that really enjoy this field also. And computer science has become a thing here now, right? So I know somebody who's like signed up for robotics like recently, right? And so there's so many of these institutes that are offering IT as a program. Um, there is a good number of graduates that come out every single year with an IT background. And as our IT industry has grown, I think these graduates are getting jobs in the IT field, and they're getting good skills and good experience also. So what's happening is that our IT industry is developing, right? And we have a prime example right next to us. If you look at India, India is like the Silicon Valley of Asia, I guess, right? I mean, you've
Yeah.
got the south part of India, Bangalore, which is like a huge industry. Like IT is a huge industry,
Yeah.
and they're focusing on this IT development, right? So Pakistan should catch up to India. We should make an effort to do that, and I think right now we are heading in that direction overall. And so yeah, coming back to me, I think all of this is the reason that I feel that it's a good time to be venturing into IT as a business also, and because the government is also supporting it. The taxation rates within the IT sector, they're not very high, quite on the lower side, I would say. And it's something different also. Like so someone like me who's doing real estate, which is something that I've been doing for quite some time. It's a good change, and there's no, it's a good change. I feel like there's a lot of space that one can explore, and I am still learning about this field, personally.
Yeah.
So whether it's fintech or whether it's there's just so much within this field that you can do.
It's very
I think
very
the possibilities are endless,
nice.
which makes it kind of interesting.
You talked about the global context. Is it also because India, then all of a sudden, outsourcing prices have started to increase that, people in
Well,
companies
I
in the
think that's
US and
definitely
Middle
happening.
East are looking for new places?
That's having an effect for sure, right? So because Indian currency has become stronger while ours has become weaker. So obviously people are having a harder time. Well, let's say you're a company in America who are also from India, and then you compare the price to Pakistan and India, you'll end up finding that Pakistan is that much cheaper. But I'll tell you what, the issue that I think that a lot of these foreign companies have in Pakistan is the communication part of it. It's not necessarily the skills. I think we're reasonably skilled. It's not as a workforce. I think we're reasonably skilled. I don't think we're we're very poor. I don't think we're that professional either, mind you. I think that there is a lacking there, and I think that there's a way that we have to go in order to get to that same level of professionalism, which let's say you have, for example, in the West, right? But having said that, the communication part of it is something that we're still lagging behind a little bit. I feel like a lot of kids, a lot of people that have good IT skills don't necessarily have the communication skills to deliver when it comes to front end IT work. So, from by front end, I mean dealing directly with clients abroad, right? So, let's say you
Yeah.
have a large, I don't know, company in Germany, for example, and they require a project which is based on, PHP and Laravel or what have you, or any of these languages, or Python or Java, or so on and so forth, right? So you'll have a lot of people here in Pakistan to be able to do it, but you won't have a lot of people who will be able to do it and then communicate very effectively with the
Abroad.
person sitting in that company in Germany and have an interaction with them and deliver exactly what they need because there'll be communication barrier.
That's
So we're lagging behind a little bit. I think we need to catch up.
Um, for a lot of companies that, so I have a little bit of a background over here as well. There's, I know a few people either managing these businesses or working in these businesses, and a quirky solution that some of them have come up with is that they hire 3 to 4 developers, and then they hire
Right,
a UI UX designer. And then the UI
right.
UX designer, usually, since their degree is a little bit more creative, they're better at communicating. So they then made that person in charge of dealing with the client, and then you have your engineers on the back end. That's what
Right.
mostly happens.
That's generally what it is. But like, so you're absolutely right. And they hire a project manager essentially who is managing
Yeah.
the project. And then they've got a group of people, and that group is reporting to the project manager. That's generally how it's run. You're right about that. That is one solution. But nonetheless, I think we do lack a little bit overall in the communications department. There's so much within the field of IT here that we can do, and that these companies here are doing, And what I'm personally doing is I'm offering IT services or across the spectrum, really, a bit of everything, right? So we're not only offering complete project outsourcing, which is like, we will be having our own developers, which will develop all sorts of applications ranging from front end to back end, mobile development, web development, application development, point of sale services, business process re-engineering, SAP, the full gamut really, all the way to providing IT as an IT, you can say, to staff augmentation. So staff augmentation means that if your company is sitting, let's say in the US, and you want to extend your team and you're looking for three people to do your job remotely, we'll be providing those services as a human resource as well, right? So we're acting as an agency as well as a digital process outsourcing company, plus a recruitment agency. And then the third thing that we're doing, which I mentioned earlier, was we're also a call center. So we're getting to the call center space. So effectively, we'll be acting as a communications partner for foreign companies that want to outsource their incoming call traffic, or who want a setup abroad which is capable of handling their basically their communications.
Yeah, thank you so much. This
Thank
was
you
very
so much for
interesting and
taking
very
our
fun.
time. Yeah.
The pleasure was mine. Thank you very much, Ali and Naren. It was nice talking to both of you.